Senator, first, I guess, just because it's been a little hard to follow this particular bouncing ball, it did seem to me there was a deal on the table. Democrats said, hey, let's just pass everything that isn't ICE and Customs and Border Protection, and then we can deal with that later. Donald Trump basically vetoed it. Finally, there was a breakthrough in the Senate, and you guys got it done. And now what?
Well, let me reframe it in some ways here, because I think another way to look at this is let's fund everything where they're not getting funded right now. So TSA, CISA, FEMA, they're not getting paid. Whereas ICE, CBP, they are getting paid right now because of the reconciliation bill. So we wanted to make sure that we're moving forward and especially addressing TSA that has been on the minds of so many Americans stuck in lines at the airport. We called the Republicans' bluff here. It's very clear that the House Republicans are showing this was actually not about TSA for them. This was about their own political power. Right now, it's for Speaker Johnson, it's about his own job. He cares about his own survival rather than about the tens of thousands of jobs of TSA and others. So, this is really a sign here of just very strong unity amongst the Democrats, especially over the last 48 hours in both the Senate last night and in the House today, and just absolute chaos amongst the Republicans as they see no way out of this giant hole that they dug themselves into, that the American people are watching, and it's just something that is absolutely showing how they are on the wrong side of the American people.
I'm going to play what the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, had to say about what the House is going to do with this bill, which is basically ignore it and pass their own thing. Take a listen.
House Republicans will have no part in reopening the border and stopping illegal immigration enforcement. And that's exactly what this piece of legislation attempts to do. We're not trying to roll the Senate. We're trying to do the obvious, common sense, moral thing, and that is keep the government funded for 2 more months so we can sort out the differences between the parties.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lie, and just, it just continues to come out of his mouth day after day where he's trying to lie to the American people. What we are pushing for right now is absolutely common sense in terms of just getting our government back open with TSA and FEMA and so many other parts. But what we absolutely need are what the American people are demanding, real reforms when it comes to ICE if they were to get any further funding. And again, they are armed up already based off of the reconciliation bill that the Republicans rammed through. And even just last night when I was debating at 2:30 in the morning, the Republicans actually put forward an amendment that was trying to fund ICE for the next decade. They were asking for $100 billion last night. And again, is that really what the American people want right now, especially after we saw the horrific chaos and the tragedies in Minnesota? So this is really very clearly about Speaker Johnson looking out for his own job, looking out for their political power in the House and trying to show relevance. Remember, this is the Speaker of the House that refused to come back into session for well over a month during the last shutdown. For him to now try to pretend like he cares about federal workers is just really appalling.
In terms of things they're asking for hundreds of billions of dollars for, the other big funding request is going to come down. Apparently, is a $200 billion funding request from the Pentagon for the war in Iran supplemental. Are you a yes or a no on that?
I'm a hard no here because, I mean, this is something where very clearly, again, the American people have been ignored. The idea that Trump is considering putting American service members on the ground in Iran, when we see just all the tragedies that happened, whether it's the civilian casualties in MSNOW at the school, which, by the way, is a higher level of civilian casualty than any single event during the entirety of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, as well as just seeing the continued service members in harm's way, and the administration refusing to hold public hearings in front of Congress to tell the American people this is a very easy, clear decision that we cannot fund this illegal and unconstitutional war.
Quickly to you, I know you worked at both the Pentagon and the State Department on minimizing civilian harm. There's reporting that there's images in Iran that appear to show landmines that have been, I think, dropped out of airplanes and scattered in a part of Iran. It's possibly near the site of where missiles might be launched, but in essentially civilian area. Do you think this is the first time in years that this has been deployed by the U.S.? Do you have concerns about that?
Absolutely. I mean, it highlights why we need to have public hearings to be able to understand what exactly we are doing, whether it's these weapons, that they are in fact landmines that are Americans. It is the first time in years. And there's a reason why we don't want to use these, is because of the potential for civilian harm, for not targeting precision with military targets. And it would be a huge step backwards. But again, this has been a pattern, Chris, a pattern that we've seen Secretary Hegseth, whether it's the boat strikes, whether it's the attack on that school that killed over 160 people in Iran, as well as, I pushed forward legislation a couple years ago that started the Civilian Protection Center at the Pentagon. This is something that was trying to minimize civilian casualties, as we saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. And now Secretary Hegseth over the last year has gutted it. Reduced the staff right down to the very bottom, has not been pushing forward on the funding, and look at what we're getting. So this looks like a pattern of very clear, not just neglect, but disregard by this Secretary of Defense when it comes to civilian casualties, which is on us now, that we own that as a country, and that is something that he needs to be accountable for.
Senator Andy Kim in New Jersey, thank you for your time tonight, sir. Ahead,
Thank you.
it's